page 10, everyone. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Let's join together. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Repeat after me. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Everyone, hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. One more time. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom. On this Shabbat Vayihi, the last section of the book of Genesis, we read of Jacob's death and of Joseph's continued graciousness to his brothers, promising to take care of them and their families rather than take revenge on them for their past wrongdoings. His forgiveness and their reconciliation are complete. This Shabbat, we take time to honor our many volunteers and also to welcome our scholar in residence, Uri Feinberg, as we wrestle with the complexities of protecting our people and our Jewish state and seek a deeper understanding and greater empathy for those on the front line, what it means to be part of a big and complicated family. As we learn in the Talmud, humility is what God requires of us. As Abba said in the name of Rabbi Samuel, one year the school of Shammai and the school of Hillel were at odds. Another year, a third, each held its own way. A voice from beyond then proclaimed, "The words of both are the words of the living God, but the school of Hillel's way is the one to follow." Why? Though both following the living God, the school of Hillel's way was gentle, conciliatory. They would teach their own view and that of their opponents and give priority to the school of Shammai. Thus we learn that the Holy One exalts those who humble themselves and humbles those who exalt themselves. And so as we welcome Shabbat, let us seek in our own lives ways to more often choose the gentle and conciliatory way, to listen carefully and respectfully to others, whether we agree with them or not, and seek common ground and common purpose so that we might continue to build a community that fulfills the teachings of the living God. Amen. And so we continue by welcoming Shabbat with light on page 3 in our Sidurim. It's my pleasure to welcome up Beth-El to offer the reading before the blessing.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Turn with us to page 24 as we continue our Shabbat celebration with song Shalom Aleichem.
Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Shalom Aleichem Shalom Aleichem Malachei Hasharet Malachei Elyon ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא everyone יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai.
Turn back to page 20 with us. We are all warmed up and ready to welcome the Sabbath bride, singing Lachado D. We'll sing verses 1 and 2, 5 and 9. And when we reach verse 9, Bo'vi v'shalom, we rise as a congregation, turning to face the entrance of our sanctuary, beckoning that Sabbath bride, the Shabbos spirit we feel when we sing together as one. So whether you're joining us here in the Wolf Sanctuary or on live stream, your own sacred space, wherever that may be, join with us. We need your song and your spirit to make Shabbos happen.
Lecha Adodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד הוא שמו אחד לשמו תפארת ולתחילה join with me לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נעשוך סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה
Adodi, Lecha Adodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Mohi v'shalom ateret v'hala, Gaham besimcha u'vetzola, Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, everyone. Lecha Adoni, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat, nekabela.
Turn to those around you, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Let them know how glad you are they're here. We are going to continue on page 28 with the Baruch Hu and remain standing through the Shema.
Let's join together. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam ha'ed. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai.
On page 30, we continue with Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, b'chachma poteach sha'arim, uvit vuna mishane etim. Umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla. Adonai Tzivaot Shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai, HaMa'ariv Aravim. On the bottom of page 33, we read responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love
than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form?
Baruch Ata Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated as we continue together on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לפניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On the top of page 39, we read responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot.
That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness.
That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, as we sing Michamocha, page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטר בקודש. נורא עושה נורא עושה אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, מלכותך רעו פניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Let's join together. מי כמוך, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטר בקודש. נורא עושה נורא עושה אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
At the top of page 43, we join together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Together on page 44, Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Let's all try that. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We rise for the Amidah, beginning on page 46.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Komel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Bezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניכם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. Mashiv haruach umorid Hashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed. Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofech olim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishenei afach michamocha bal gevurot umito melach melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'nemanat lehachayot hakol baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh ukedoshim bechol yom yehallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. We continue together at the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 59. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the world. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We join together in our prayer for peace on page 60. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
At this moment in our service, we pause to offer a special blessing of gratitude to the many volunteers who offer their creativity, their time, and their talent in ways that make temple life possible and bring our congregation's mission to provide a sacred framework that inspires people to cultivate their Jewish lives possible. When I think about how busy our lives can be and how easy it is to fill each day with just the necessities of work and home and bills and family, I'm even more inspired by how much people give of themselves for something beyond themselves, how people give up their precious time to invest in our community. And while it's true that temple clergy and staff are very busy creating opportunities for people to connect, providing that sacred framework of Jewish living and doing that is meant to inspire and motivate, without the doers of our community, so much of what happens here wouldn't be possible. So though we're grateful every day, we have chosen tonight to honor our many, many volunteers of Temple Beth-El. So if you are a member of our sisterhood, please stand. Sweet. If you're a member of our brotherhood, please stand. If you're not already standing and you sing in the choir, please stand. If you cook for temple events or on behalf of temple, stand. If you bake for Oneg, stand. If you're on our social action committee or have been, stand. If you do Meals on Wheels, or stand. If you're part of our religious practices committee, stand. Part of our religious school teachers and volunteers, stand. help to run or participate in our senior lunch chavara, participate in our Kimmelman committee, our membership committee, our cemetery committee, stand on our board of trustees, are a greeter, volunteer in the office during the week or on the weekends, or if you give any time in any way to Temple, you should just stand. Please rise so that you can receive this blessing. Misha Berach, Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our ancestors before us bless these sacred souls in our congregational community, who invest so much of themselves in the life of our temple, for all the inspiration and creativity you bring, for all the hours spent planning and doing, for all the love and dedication you share with us. We give thanks. Amen. So you can all take your seats, and we're going to offer another, hold on, there we go. Tonight also, we want to honor all those in our congregation who are receiving a President's Service Award this year. Those who have gone above and beyond at Temple and also in our greater community, dedicating so many hours that they've earned this special Volunteer Service Award. The President's Volunteer Service Award began in 2003, established by the President's Council on Service and Civic Participation to recognize the vital role of volunteers in shaping America's strength and national identity. This award honors individuals whose service positively impacts communities across the nation and inspires others to take action as well. To be eligible, individuals must be United States citizens or lawful permanent residents, be at least 5 years old, and really, must complete eligible service within a 12-month period for the annual bronze, silver, or gold awards, or over their lifetime for the Lifetime Achievement Awards. And so I'd like to invite up the following people to receive their awards. Irene Burns for a Gold Award and Lifetime Achievement Award. You can hold your applause till the end. Cole Ruse for a Gold Award. Terry Glazer for a Silver Award. Ann Weiner for a Bronze Award. And Patricia Marcus for a Bronze Award. All of you should come up. There's a special blessing we're going to give to you. And then we're going to give you your stuff. So we're going to open the ark so we can offer a special priestly benediction, and you all should come on over, but everyone else can stay seated.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you as you sustain and nourish us with your good works and commitment to community.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May God's face shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you, enabling you to bring the light of justice and compassion to God's broken world, welcoming others in, sharing generosity with those beyond our walls.
Yis Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God lift your hearts and grant you wholeness, fulfillment, and peace as your commitment to community continues to inspire us every day. Amen. And Mazel Tov. Don't go anywhere. We have special items for you. So.
I can do it. Yay.
I'm on so many.
So everyone receives a special certificate from the President of the United States and also a special pin. Let's see here. Irene, you get gold, yeah? All right, you're gonna please take your certificate and go to your seat.
Thank you.
Mazel tov. Okay. And then we have, I've lost my pages. Oh, Terry, silver, yes? Wonderful, mazel tov. Anne, bronze. Yeah. Oops. Oh, you're right. Cole. Gold or bronze? Gold. Okay, that's gold. That looks gold to me. Okay, good. And Patricia, you also get bronze. Coming later. Yes. Mazel tov. You too can earn a President's Service Award. Ross Halfan is our official person who will send in your materials. If you are a regular volunteer, you can keep track of your volunteer hours and submit them, and then you can be recognized by our national government for your service. It's a pretty special thing. So we move now from thanking our volunteers and the strength they give us to offering prayers of health and wholeness, a healing for all those who face the future not fully whole. If there's someone in your life in need of healing, someone that you have on your mind or hold in your heart, I invite you to think about them now. Picture them, if you wish, as you close your eyes, and whisper their names out loud. Strengthened by each other's presence, we offer prayers of healing for those in our own lives, those who are listed on our healing list and our order of service. Of course, all those in California, especially in the Los Angeles area, who have been just devastated by the wildfires that are still raging in that land. All those in the world in need of healing. As we turn to page 252 to sing Misha Berach.
Avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. We continue now with prayers of peace for Israel. And so we invite you to rise and join us in our prayer for peace between Israel and its neighbors, which you can find in your order of service. Rock and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, the dawning of our redemption. Shield it with your compassion and spread over it the sukkah of your shalom. Compel its leaders to act for the good of all who dwell in your holy land. Grant them sound minds, courageous hearts, and compassionate souls as they navigate the treacherous terrain of conflict and terror, war and destruction. Freer of the captives and binder of their wounds, be with those who remain in captivity and console their families. Give them strength to endure and speedily send them home. May the image of their faces remain in our hearts. Master of compassion, bring security and peace to all those who are vulnerable. Comfort all who are displaced and suffering. Protect the innocent wherever they may be, in Israel, in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Yemen. May we never lose sight of their humanity and the spark of God's presence in us all. Holy One of blessing, may the leaders of the world put their people before power and reach for compromise before conflict. Uproot the hatred, animosity, and distrust of all those who would do harm and replace them with love and kinship, so that all the peoples who dwell in your holy land find safety and sustenance, quiet and contentment, and an abundance of everlasting peace. Amen.
Amen. We continue together with Achenu. Achenu, kol beit Yisrael. Achenu, kol beit Yisrael. Hanetunim betzara, betzara uvashivya, haomdim ben bayam uvein bayabasha. Hamakom yerachem, yerachem aleichem, veyotziei mitzara, lirvachu, umeafel aleora, umeshibu ligula hashta, magala ubizman akariv, hashta magala ubizman akariv. Together, as for our brothers and sisters, the whole house of Israel, who are given over to trouble or captivity, whether they abide on the sea or on dry land, may the all-present have mercy upon them and bring them forth from trouble to enlargement, from darkness to light, and from subjection to redemption, now speedily and at a near time. Amen.
You may be seated, and we invite you to take a few moments now for your own personal silent prayers.
Coming out of the silence, we invite you to turn in your Sidurim to page 352. Lu Yehi, let it be, written by one of the great lights of Israeli music, Naomi Shemer of blessed memory. May all that we ask for come to pass. We will sing verses 1 and 3. עוד יש מפרש לבן באופק, מול ענן שחור כבד, כל שנבקש לו יהי. ואם בחלונות הערב או נרות החג אוהד, כל שנבקש לו יהי. Lu Yehi, Lu Yehi, Ana Lu Yehi, Kol Shenevakesh Lu Yehi, Lo yehi, lo yehi, hana lo yehi. Kol shenevakesh lo yehi. Ma kol hanotani shomea kol shofar ve'kol tapim kol shenevakesh lo yehi. Lo tishama betoch kol ele gam tefila chat mapi kol shenevakesh lo yehi. Let's join together. Lo yehi, lo yehi, ana lo yehi. Kol shenevakesh lo yehi. Lo yehi, lo yehi, hana lo yehi. Kol shenevakesh lo yehi. Amen.
Ori Feinberg has been a Jewish educator for over 25 years. He is a sought-after tour guide in Israel and Europe, and his easy manner and his sense of humor, combined with his deep knowledge of Israeli history and politics, enable him to tell the complicated and nuanced story of the Jewish people in Israel and around the world with passion, clarity, and empathy. He's enabled thousands of people to strengthen their personal connection to the Holy Land and built a greater understanding of their own Jewish identity in the process. Members of our own congregation, many of whom are here tonight, have had the privilege of experience his excellence in Israel, both in 2017 and in 2023 on our interfaith trip with St. Mark's Episcopal Church and on Zoom for multiple Israel education courses. Ori, who's not going to pretend he has a fake Israeli accent, is originally from the United States. He was born here and moved to Israel with his family when he was a child. He and his wife Meryl have 3 daughters, 2 who have completed military service and 1 who's a senior in high school. They're active members of their Reformed congregation, Yozma in Modi'in, which is a suburb of Jerusalem, and he has a master's from Hebrew University in Contemporary Jewish Studies. He served as Director of Education at Temple Israel at Boston and uses his knowledge, experience, and talents as a storyteller, historian, and astute political observer to help provide clarity in the midst of an ever-changing international reality. Without a doubt, the events of October 7, 2023, and all the days that have followed have had a profound impact on Ori's life and the lives of all Israelis, as well as all of us, and have altered the way he teaches about Jewish and Israeli identity. We're so fortunate to have you here this weekend, Ori, to help us struggle and reflect upon this challenging moment in the story of the Jewish people. So it's my pleasure to welcome my dear friend and absolute favorite tour educator, Ori Feinberg, to our Bima. I'm gonna turn this on. Okay.
First, allow me to just share my own prayers to all those who have had their lives devastated in California and Los Angeles, those of you with friends, family. It is not easy. When I was much younger, about a year into my military service, I was dropped from the unit in which I was serving. I had initially tried out to test myself to see if I could finish the so-called Hell Week. To my surprise, I not only finished what was the most difficult week of my life, but I was accepted along with a handful of hopefuls from amongst hundreds of recent high school graduates. What followed was a year of grueling sweat and tears. In the second and final cut, I was dropped from the unit because I simply wasn't good enough. Those last few words didn't always roll off my tongue so easy. That moment was the definitive pitfall of my life. I chose to move to the paratroopers, where I marched many miles and climbed many mountains. I completed a combat medics course, which led me to my first job out of the Army as a traveling medic with the nifty teen trips that came to Israel for the summer. Soon enough, the youth movement asked me to be a guide for their summer trips and to teach Jewish history in their semester program. I met a particular counselor leading the URJ Eisner Camp bus, who later became my wife, and well, the rest is history. When I finally took a moment to reflect and to identify certain junctures in my life, I realized that my family, my profession, my calling were born from within that same pit of despair. Till today, when our kids face adversity of some kind, I remind them, when I was around your age and I was kicked out, not good enough, yes, Dad, that's how you met Mom. We know. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Uri Feinberg, and it's a real pleasure to be with you. Rabbi Nathan and I have been friends for decades and had led trips together in Israel multiple times. My relationship with your wonderful community has included some of these trips, as well as classes taught via Zoom, back during COVID, and more importantly, post-October 7th, Zoom conversations and courses on the state of Israel. I have been blessed to have spent time with you in the past, right here in San Antonio. And while I am far from home, it doesn't feel that way, because even though I'm used to seeing the rabbi and members of this wonderful congregation on a big bus or a small screen, this setting has very familiar faces, and it makes me feel very welcomed. My family and I made Aliyah. We moved to Israel when I was 10 years old, and I grew up in Jerusalem. Following the army, I traveled the world, like many of us do, to stretch our legs a bit, before returning home, and then I quickly found myself in the world of education. Whether as a guide in the field or as a teacher in the classroom, I have been a Jewish educator for the past 30 years. Most importantly, though, I am married to Meryl, that same counselor, originally from Brooklyn, and we have 3 daughters. Meitav is 24, Shira 21, and Adi 17. I share all this with you because what drives me in general, and specifically in these challenging days, is my family, my personal one and my communal one, my Israeli one and my Jewish one. This week's Torah portion of Vayechi finds us towards the end of the first phase of our journey, landing us both in Egypt and on the cusp of our transformation from extended family to nation. Our biblical narrative has thus far presented our leaders in all of their humanity, no holds barred. Their failing, their jealousy, and even their pits of despair. We have seen them climb out or be pulled out, which has allowed us more than once to change direction from what could have been a climactic supernova ready to engulf the multitude of stars in heaven intended to be our lot. Dreaming for the sake of others was the first tell in Joseph's transformation, followed by what we can imagine was anger-driven inner deliberations whether to reveal himself or not to his brothers after Benjamin's bags produce the anticipated sting. The internal turmoil and emotional cacophony screamed volumes of what it means to be human, including the baggage we are all caught with, along with all the appropriate layers of complexity. It's hard to believe that it is this turbulent ride that will lead us to the blessings that will become timeless. The past 462 days have caused us to plummet into our own pit of despair without a clear vision of how to extract ourselves. We mark each day knowingly demanding of ourselves never to forget, not who we are and who we aspire to be. A marker of days on a piece of tape on our chest, a dog tag around our neck, or simply seeing the pursed lips of a face encountered, mirrored in ours, silent and in pain, sharing our most recent tragic communal memory. This passive glance occurs even as we have actively had to share with parents and grandparents how their children were killed, when, where, and why. We have had to share the memory of those who fell and those who were murdered. We are no strangers to teaching our children about where we come from, repeating this lesson again and again. Just a few months ago, that watershed moment of completion, followed by the renewal and rebirth, will forever be different. That yearly turning point that has always allowed us to reclaim our narrative with new eyes and new experiences and new perspective will no longer solely be about harvest, celebration, and the memory of our journey. Simchat Torah 5785, the first annual marker of a world before and a world after, became a holiday of collapse, sorrow, and no longer exclusively of the joy of completion and carrying the Torah scroll, but about our tears and carrying the memory of our loved ones? Is this memory what keeps us down in the pit, or is it the very hand we need to pull us out and be placed on our head for the blessing of who we are to be? At 6:29 on October 7th, 2023, so much more than that multi-million-dollar fence collapsed. Our sense of self, security, clarity in who we are, and the very essence of what it means to be an Israeli, all disintegrated as the first pickup trucks, motorcycles, and hang gliders came across our borders in the western Negev. The anguish we felt will forever be seared into our consciousness. This is not the first time that Israel has faced challenge, adversity, or even a surprise attack. 50 years to the year and almost to the day since Egypt and Syria attacked on another fateful holiday. But this attack, this moment, unfolded into an unprecedented experience, one that left us gasping for air and grasping to our past for any lifeline how to proceed and respond. 1,200 women, men, children murdered and killed on that fateful Shabbat, civilians and soldiers. 251 stolen from their beds, their homes, their fields, and their bases. The physical and sexual abuse and mutilation, the sheer magnitude of horror, as you know, was reminiscent of nothing. It has been a while since Israel has faced an existential war, a war of no other choice. Our front line with Gaza and Hamas immediately expanded to multiple front lines surrounding Israel, even those thousands of kilometers away. The truth is that each individual and each family in Israel is a front line unto themselves. We each seem to be waiting for a blessing that is forever out of sight. Thank God my immediate family, my immediate circle has been safe. Our oldest finished her military service in a combat unit a few years ago, traveled to South America for her own walkabout, was in the final stages of preparing to start university when the war broke out, and subsequently spent more than 220 days in reserve duty down south with her Iron Dome unit. Our middle daughter, Shira, who served in the same unit and more recently finished her service, spent the entirety of the war since October 7th up north in the Golan Heights and the Galilee, where she and her friends were quite busy. It is always pretty astounding to me how this young person is tasked with protecting Israel from incoming projectiles, and yet at times can't pick up her socks from the floor of her room. I guess that is her safe space, and better she forget to do something at home than when she's busy at work. We also have had young cousins in Gaza, nephews in Lebanon, friends and children of friends who are all on a front line somewhere. We have all been to shivas and funerals, have stood at attention alongside roads with Israeli flags as honor guards as families pass through the old stomping grounds and stepping stones of their children, who they will soon bury. Whether consciously or subconsciously, we listen in dread for a knock at the door, a phone call, or knowing a name that is mentioned on the radio with the prelude, "The following name has been cleared to announce." With these words, a collective stolen breath is taken throughout the country. And there are, of course, names that we will all know, that have been on our lips, and we have prayed for their safe return. Names we have cried out in joy 8 times when we learned of their heroic rescue. And too many times, those names were cried out in pain as their recovered bodies were brought home for burial. There was so much we did not recognize when we were faced with the worst day to befall the Jewish people since the Holocaust. As I mentioned, everything we thought to be true about ourselves and the world around us seemed to dissipate before our eyes. The one thing that we did recognize and even anticipated was our resilience. Our very identity as Israelis has been molded by our particular experience, forged on the backdrop of our beautiful rolling green Galilee mountains, the powerful silence of the Negev desert, the historic alleyways of the old city of Jerusalem, and the old, new pioneering spirit bequeathed by the founders of Tel Aviv. Our ability, however, as a people, to find resolve, continue forward, adapt in order to survive, find strength in the face of adversity, and to make the choice again and again to rise up after every destruction, desecration, and expulsion, has evolved over thousands of years along the entire trajectory of our collective journey. This resilience manifested itself in multiple ways. We saw this with 120% show up to 100% call up of the reserves. Those who were called came, and many of those who weren't called came. There were those who drove down into the line of fire to do something, save someone. There were retired generals like Noam Tibon and his wife Gali, who drove down to save their children and grandchildren, saving many others along the way. There were farmers such as Rami Davidian, disregarding his own safety, who saved hundreds. Resilience is Tali Haddad from the town of Ofakim, whose son Itamar was home on leave, who ran down to the street to fight off the terrorists with his mother in tow. Itamar was badly injured, pulled to some kind of cover. His mother shows up and tells him to hold tight, I'm getting the car. She drives him out of the line of fire, out of Ofakim to the medical teams who couldn't enter, and then drives in 3 more times under fire to save as many as she could. Resilience are protest movements born in the streets earlier in 2023, voicing defiance against the judicial reform, with grassroots collectives such as Achim Laneshek, Brothers and Sisters in Arms, which found itself at the center of these protests, turning on a dime on October 7th, beginning what would become the largest civil society movement focused solely on saving Israel and Israelis, which continues through today. Resilience within Israeli society included all of those families who were left behind when 300,000 reservists were called up, with both men and women called to don the uniform again and again. It was mostly mothers who were left behind for months on end to protect and secure their children and their family on the home front, no less a front line. The resilient task of holding a family together from the inside to keep it from disintegrating can be found amongst all of the displaced families who have been forced out of their homes. In a June 2020 New York Times article, Eileen Zimmerman writes the following: resilience is the ability to recover from difficult experiences and setbacks, to adapt, move forward, and sometimes even experience growth. You can think of resilience as a set of skills that can be and often is learned. How we cope depends on what is in our resilience toolbox. Now, there's much I don't know. I don't know where strangers drew strength from, risking their lives to save each other. I don't know where Jacob drew strength from to bless his grandchildren after everything he had been through. I also do not know if I agree with the excerpt from the article that resilience is simply the ability to adapt and overcome. In my mind, it is actually our ability to begin a process. It is not only a need to move forward, but an attempt at taking a first step. A first step towards realizing that we are in pain, towards recognizing that we need to rise up. Each step reminding us who we are and who we aspire to be. These ideas, even ideals, are mirrored in the dramatic narrative unfolding before us. Judah stepping forward, Joseph finally speaking his truth, Jacob's journey towards Joseph, seeing him alive, and blessing Ephraim and Manasseh all begin with a first step. If this process is essential, then resilience is also being able to stand up to support our brave soldiers. It's also stepping forward, praying with our feet, demanding our government do more for the release of loved ones, friends, family, those we know and those we don't, held in captivity for 462 days. The Hostage Family Forum, founded by volunteers within hours of 6:29 a.m. October 7th, stands at the forefront of ensuring the release of the infant and the elderly, the soldiers and the civilians, the women and the men. Standing in the streets weekly around the countries, Israelis show up again and again to embrace all of the families who are waiting, praying, and taking action. as well as challenging our leadership to do better, and if they can't, to step aside. This process is also one of transformation. We have witnessed what has happened, and now we must act. We aren't waiting, but we're demanding the blessing. This is resilience. Our attempt to stand up again won't be before we continue to fight for our lives, protect our families, and ensure that we take action to win this war. I hear myself and I sound as if I'm speaking to you on October 8th, 2023. Today's date is October 462nd. Every day the fight continues. This also includes our internal struggle as well. The unity that filled all space has frayed at the edges. The discontent that is felt in the streets and the tension felt within society, however, is never about whether we have a right to exist. It is about how we exist, how we move forward, how we rise up, and what we choose to have in our hearts. We demand of our leaders that they are worthy of all of us. Only then will we be able to mourn our fallen heroes, our children, our parents, and ourselves. Then we will need to rebuild. The foundations of that rebirth will be the commitment, dedication, determination, and bravery of our soldiers and our civilians, the women and men who continue to give their lives and live their lives to save all of us. We are a nation that has been backed up against a wall, led by a generation of young people and not so young, who have placed themselves between the enemy and their family. For more than a year and 3 months, we have fallen into an abyss, and unlike Jacob, we continue to search for that which will allow for our continuity, as we have temporarily lost the ability to utter the quintessential Israelism, "Yeh beseder," it'll be okay. We know it will be, of course, because, well, there is no other choice. We simply do not yet see a clear path that will get us there. But as our biblical narrative lays out for us, and throughout the trajectory of 4,000 years of Jewish history, we have an innate ability to climb out of pitfalls, bare our souls, and find our blessings amongst those who came before us, reminding ourselves again and again who we are, what we stand for, and that we know how to create a society that we are worthy of. And yet, adding to the layers of what I don't know if this is simply optimism on my part. According to the late Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, one of the most important distinctions, he says, I have learned in the course of reflection of Jewish history is the difference between optimism and hope. Optimism is the belief that things will get better. Hope is the belief that together we can make things better. Optimism is a passive virtue. Hope is an active one. It takes no courage to be an optimist, but it takes a great deal of courage to have hope. Knowing what we do of our past, no Jew can be an optimist. But Jews have never, despite a history of sometimes awesome suffering, given up hope. Hope is what generates action. Action is the process of resilience. Resilience is what will allow us to take a step forward, stand up, and demand that blessing is bestowed upon us, reflecting the ideal of Am Yisrael, and through this, one day, find comfort. That's who we are. That's who we will be again. From the pits out of which we climb individually towards the nation we will become, we will reach a juncture, notice our footprints behind us, and feel Jacob's hands upon us. It is then that we will realize that we have blossomed into who we strive to be. With our backs up against the wall, we have no other choice. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue with Aleinu, page 283, and I invite you to all rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לאחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Our memorial meditation can be found on page 288, a meditation by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Shuri Abrams, Rodolfo Alanis Applebaum, David Alexander, William Alterman, Arlene Arriaga, A. Melvin August, Maury Beichman, Nancy Berkman, Mary Ellen Blackard, Alphonse Block, Jack Bronstein, Cyril A. Brown, Lawrence Lee Brown Sr., Gerald Jerry Carduner, Malcolm Cohen, Frank Cook, Sylvia Cottrell, Evelyn Eisenberg, Erna Epstein, Moises Isaac Feiner, Willa Martha Fields, Mervyn Finesilver, Aaron Forland, Sis Friedman, Daniel Garza, Audrey Given, Ingrid Glennon, Jack Gold, Barry Gornick, James Gottsman, Byron Halstead, Shirley Halperin, Benjamin F. Harris, Len Hopp, Joe Karotkin, Beatrice Klein, Evelyn Koenig, Philip Leon, Sidney Levine, Max Mendlevitz, Hannah Levy-Massacre, Lola Netter, Zelda Planta Novi, Jesse Orrell, Jorge Placeres Madrid, Miriam Pullman, Marlene Richmond, Sadie Rosenthal, Max Sherman, Ernest A. Simon, Max Solomon, Werner Spanier, Lizette Temple, Cloney Thompson, Haiti Weinstein, Carolyn West, Elaine Pud Westheimer, Jean White, Matilde Wolf, and Daniel Wright. To these names, we add the names of those who've been laid to their eternal rest in the past 30 days, whose family and friends are in a mourning period of Shloshim. Remember Iris Simon Rubin, Scott Morganlander, and Arkady Grinman. We also think of one who was laid to her eternal rest this week, whose family is in a mourning period of Shiva. We remember Darlene Less, wife of Sidney J. Less, mother of Robert and Beverly and Marshall and Leslie, grandmother of Yossi, Ezra, and Sela. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we rise together for Kaddish Yatom on page 294. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'elma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. It is my honor to call forward Mark Eichelbaum, President of our Board of Trustees, to deliver tonight's announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. And welcome. I'm glad you could be with us here in the Wolf Sanctuary or joining us via live stream. Thank you, Sisterhood, for sponsoring our pre-Shabbat oneg. Beth for lighting our Shabbat candles this evening. And I was a little late, but I think it was Greg and Betty that welcomed us tonight as our greeters. Mazel Tov to our 2025 President's Volunteer Service Award recipients. Irene Burns, Cole Roos, Terry Glazer, Ann Weiner, and Patricia Marcus. That's an incredible group of people doing some incredible things, and I'm a better person just from knowing you. And a special thank you to Uri for delivering tonight's Dvar Torah and spending this weekend with us. Here are some upcoming events at Temple and things you should know. Join us January 17th through the 20th for a meaningful weekend of events honoring Dr. Martin Luther King's vision of justice, equality, and unity. On February 2nd, be with Rachel Stern for her enlightening Sunday Scholar Series, Religion and Reflection. Also on February 2nd, don't forget to sign up for Trivia Night. Come join your Temple Beth-El friends, ages 21 and older, for a memorable event filled with laughter, connection, and a chance to showcase your trivia skills. And it's not in my notes, but there's a couple other events with all of you here that I want you to know about. On February 7th, come celebrate a decade of service from our senior rabbi, Rabbi Mara Nathan. And on March 22nd, come celebrate Temple and its 150th anniversary at our gala that'll be here at Temple. More information and registration links for these and other exciting things can be found on our website or in the weekly announcements, which arrive in your inbox around 4 p.m. every Thursday. We look forward to your participation in these community building opportunities. Shabbat Shalom.
No, you're good. Whether or not you have signed up, there are many, many more opportunities to learn from Ori, to be in dialogue with Ori, and just to get to know Ori. So if you're signed up for dinner, we'll be joining together. There'll be a time to schmooze with him, Q&A, if it feels right. Tomorrow morning, he'll be leading our Torah study at 9 a.m. And then after services, there's a lunch and learn. And if that's not enough, you'll come back in the evening, 5 o'clock, for a Havdalah and a Q&A, anything you want to ask, any conversation you want to have. He is game. And then Sunday morning, we will have our second Israel Roundtable. So we'll join together in group discussion with both Ori and myself there to moderate and be part of the discussion. So we hope to see you there. Our closing song is Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, page 353. Please rise.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam shalom. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam shalom. Last time. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.